Hello all, this is Halloween, and if you love cemeteries and haunted history as much as I do, you're gonna want to subscribe because I'm gonna be taking you to a new place every week. Today, we're gonna be visiting the Cycadia Cemetery. It's a historic cemetery in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Of course, I'm also gonna take you to a great place to eat. Enjoy! Tarpon Springs put me in the mood for Greek food. So we're going to the Marathon Grill. Let's get a bite to eat. We're here at the Cycadia Cemetery, a historic cemetery in Tarpon Springs. The beautiful 30-acre stretch of land was donated by one Miss Viola Keeney in 1887. So this one was established in the late 1800s, and a lot of the pioneers from the Sponge Docks and Palm Harbor and the general area are buried here. Let's go in and see what we can see. Just walking right into the entrance, I can already tell this is my kind of cemetery. All the really beautiful headstones. It's going to be a fun one. There's a beautiful lake that sits right in the middle, or a pond, I should say. It's more of a pond. It's gorgeous. Very beautiful. Right here, this looks Greek to me. The first one walking in here. I can't pronounce the name, I don't think. Vatikiotis? I think I did all right. But these have to be some Sponge Docks pioneers right here. We got a Captain George here, and that's probably his wife. And oh, this is great. This is a beautiful plot here. Look how this one has the conch shell on the top. Soson C. Vatikiotis and Mary Vatikiotis. I'm looking forward to see what the cemetery has to offer. So far, so good. There's so much history in this cemetery, and it's so beautiful, and we're already seeing a lot of pioneers. For example, this Papas, we believe to be at least a family member of Louis Papas, who has the Greek restaurant. He had a Greek restaurant on Beta Bay, and I think it moved, but there are a few in the Bay Area, and the Louis Papa chain started out here in Tarpon Springs. So we believe this to be one of the relatives of Louis Papa, the original Louis Papas anyway. His wife has a different name on here on this tombstone. Louis Papas is actually, his wife's name is Flora. So we're unsure if it's the same one. But just a little history. Viola Keeney and other members of the Women's Town Improvement Association would use a mule-drawn carriage to carry roses, plants, and trees out here to the burial grounds when it first opened up to improve the appearance of the cemetery. And the Cycadia Cemetery was actually named after the cycad trees, also known as sago palms. They were planted along the original road to the cemetery, but unfortunately the trees died in a freeze, if you can believe that. A freeze in Florida? What? In the early 1900s. But despite the lack of the trees, the cemetery was still renowned as one of the most beautiful cemeteries in this part of the country. And I can't say that I disagree. It's definitely going to be one of my favorites too. There's a beautiful above ground capsule burial here. Right when you walk in to the right hand side, the final resting place of Mother Superior, first Greek Orthodox nun in North and South America. Her death date was yesterday, so wow, that's pretty cool. Very pretty memorial for her, as it should be. You can see it's right on the water there. Beautiful. There's a niche right here in the front of the cemetery too. I don't know how many there are on the grounds, but it's beautiful as always. The niches are really pretty, marble. They're always well taken care of for the most part. So I can already tell this is going to be one of my favorite cemeteries. It's really almost tied with the L'Unione Italiana Cemetery, the Italian Club Cemetery. That one is gorgeous too. It's a lot smaller though. This is 30 acres of land. We're not going to be able to do it all in one day, and it's like 110 degrees outside, so we're going to do as much as we can though. We might have to have a part 2 for this one. Just kind of walked around the lake a little bit. Pond. I keep calling it a lake. It's a body of water in the middle of the cemetery. Just adds to the charm of this beautiful cemetery. There's another little niche right here on the other side of the pond. Lots of Greeks buried here, we've seen, but that would be in Tarpon Springs. A lot of them were working here from the late 1800s actually. They arrived and settled here and started working at the sponge docks. So a lot of boat captains, Greek Tarpon Springs pioneers. So if you're Greek, you may have some family out here. But it's definitely a gorgeous cemetery, and I recommend to anyone. Look how beautiful the grass is. Like, I want to lay down and roll around in this grass. I've made my way into an older part of the cemetery, I believe. Most of these burials back in here, it's off to the right-hand side of the cemetery, but a lot of these passed in the 1920s. So these will be, you know, older burials, you know, almost 100 years old, some of them over 100 years old. I've noticed there are a lot of Irish here too, buried here. Just an observation. A lot of what's towards the front of the cemetery are newer headstones, newer burials, but this right-hand side off in the right-hand near the corner are a lot of really cool old headstones I think everyone will like. If you're into that sort of thing, right? But you wouldn't be watching if you weren't. Gorgeous. You can just see how dense this cemetery is. So many memorials. Not a whole lot of mausoleums, I've noticed. Just a couple of niches. But the tombstones are just incredible. So beautiful. Look at this. Just beautiful. Marble and ornate statues and images of the departed on their headstones. That awesome black and white images. You can just see the detail that went into that. Some of the modern headstones are pretty cool. The ones they have these days where you can get pictures put on them or engraved into them, or, you know, things that the departed liked and stuff like that. And I love that. But the originality of these older ones is what I truly appreciate the most. There's so much history, and it almost looks like they were all in competition, you know, who could have the best headstone, you know. And I'm sure they didn't cost as much as they do today. I mean, I'm sure they were a pretty penny, but you know, so many people being able to afford this kind of memorial you know, really shows you how much a dollar could buy back then. You know, it's pretty incredible. So I do recommend this cemetery to anybody wanting to come see a beautiful historic pioneer cemetery. If you have Greek family members, or if you're Greek or Irish, or even come from a family who immigrated here to Florida in the past, have ancestors who came here from Italy or Spain or Greece or Ireland even, this is a great cemetery to come to and seek out some ancestors, I would think. Pretty cool. Like I said, there's no way that we're going to be able to do it all today. You could just see 30 acres of land is pretty big, and there's so much to see. So you might be getting a part 2 eventually one of these days. We don't mind coming to Tarpon Springs. We love it here, and there's great food. I'm going to take a few more pictures and then we'll probably head out. I do have a ghost tour tonight. I just wanted to share a little with you. If you do come here, remember, there's not a lot of shade. There are a lot of trees, but not a lot of shade. So make sure you dress accordingly. Wear comfortable shoes, because you're going to want to stay here for a while. I wanted to come down here to the lower point of the cemetery. It's kind of hilly around here. I don't know how much that's portrayed in the camera, but there's definitely peaks and valleys. For Florida anyway, it's hilly. Just another factor adding to the charm of this very beautiful cemetery. I would come back here in the fall when it gets a little cooler, maybe even the winter. We don't really have a fall here in Florida. I mean, it's fall, technically it's fall for everyone else, but it's still summer for us until about January, and then it gets to be fall. We don't really have a winter, maybe 4 days a year. So I saw this tombstone and it sparked interest for me, because I'm sure we are all fond of the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. I found out some information about Bragg's cider vinegar. I didn't know that the whole company was now owned by Katy Perry. Yes, the pop singer. If you can't tell, it's extremely hot outside. I'm glistening. My chariot awaits. So we're gonna head out. I hope you enjoyed the cemetery. I thought it was marvelous. I'm not sure if the first nun that I spoke of, if she's actually buried in the burial vault atop of the mound, or if she's actually inside the mound. I'd be interested to know. But other than that, I guess I'll see you later. We stopped to check out Sam Ash because we were en route home, and always wondered what this place was, the K-Pop Gardens. It's an event place, so if you have a wedding reception or something like that, you could have it here. I thought it fell in line pretty good with the rest of our Greek day in Tarpon Springs, so let's go take a look. Check it out. But my husband said we can't get married anymore because we've already been married twice. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Tarpon Springs is one of my favorite places to go because there's just so much history there, and the cemeteries there are really cool. There's so many great places to eat and so much culture there that it's just always a great time, and it's always definitely a learning experience as well. If you loved this video, there's going to be many more just like it. Every Sunday I'll feature a new place. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video, and I'll see you next time.